Hey everybody, welcome to the Bishop's Blurb. In Deuteronomy chapter 5, we read a second telling of the Ten Commandments. And as we read through this, we'll actually find that this giving of the Ten Commandments acts as an index for the rest of the commands given in the rest of the book. From Deuteronomy 6 through 25, we encounter a whole slew of laws all stacked on top of each other, and many of them that seem to be completely disconnected from the laws that surround them. That is until we see the Ten Commandments as an index for the rest. So let's quickly run through the Ten Commandments and explore where they're found in the book of Deuteronomy. First off is the first of the Ten Commandments. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. You shall have no other gods before me. This is the foundation for all of the other laws. Without this law, nobody obeys anything that the Ten Commandments has to say. And we find that chapter 6 through 11 of Deuteronomy then extrapolate this command. What does it mean to have the Lord Adonai as your God? The second command, don't build an idol. Well, if we read chapter 12 of Deuteronomy, we see very clearly that that's what this chapter covers. The third command, do not take the Lord's name in vain. When we see this, we see that it's talking about falsely representing God to the world. Chapters 13 through 14 explore this idea in several ways, from false prophets to false believers, and how to deal with each of those situations. The fourth command, keeping the Sabbath, we find chapters 15 through 16, verse 17, cover this command in the sabbaticals, the jubilee years, and the festivals. The fifth command, honor your father and mother. When we get down to it, this command has to do with honoring your authority and respecting God's appointing of authorities. In chapters 16, verse 18 through 19, then speak of all sorts of forms of authority. It speaks of the judge, the king, the prophet, and the priest. The sixth command then shifts to how to love your neighbor, the second half of the Ten Commands. And it begins with do not murder in chapter 19 through chapter 21, verse 9. These passages cover things like manslaughter, warfare, and unsolved murders. The seventh command, do not commit adultery, goes from Deuteronomy 21, verse 10 through 22. And it covers all sorts of different forms of adultery, not just sexual marriage relationships. It speaks of adulterating all sorts of other things, that uncommon mixture that pollutes or dilutes a substance. The ninth command, do not bear false witness, is covered in chapters 23 through 24, verse 4. And this command, it's extrapolated into many various ways of properly representing your intentions or properly representing God to the world. The 10th command, do not envy, is covered in chapters 24, verse 5 through chapter 25. Again, a whole slew of situations are given which speak of wanting something so bad that you're willing to harm another to achieve it. In this, we find the laws of Deuteronomy, they are extrapolations of the Ten Commands in order. Now, some of you may have noticed, one was missing. Where is the eighth command? Do not steal. Where does that occur in the book of Deuteronomy? Well, if we consider it, all of the final five commands bear an element of do not steal. Do not steal another's life. Do not steal another's wife. Do not steal another's reputation. And do not even have the motivation to take from another to benefit yourself. And if we examine each of these sections in these last four commands that I just spoke on, you'll find commands relating to theft in each one of them. Things like do not move a boundary stone, or when you find something on the road, return it to the person who lost it. So when we stop and consider this aspect of Deuteronomy and how the New Testament authors treat the Torah, we find in play this process of extrapolation. It begins with love. It goes to love God and love your neighbor. It then split into 5 commands on each side of that equation. It's then extrapolated to the rest of the commands within the Torah, and then we can extrapolate it into our own lives, following the trajectory of extrapolation that occurs in the pages of the Torah. It's a process that we can all engage in, and it ends up with a way of living. And that way of living looks suspiciously like how our Messiah lived.